Hey everybody. So late last year I uploaded a video to YouTube about doing 18650 modding on the DXG A85V camera sitting on the table there. And I mentioned I was going to do some trial runs with it on Q Computer Channel. I got this camera in March of last year. No, actually no, I think it's February last year. Paid about $30 for it. Came with its original box and stuff like that. And one of the first problems I had with it was not so good audio. Well, I was able to somewhat improve the audio with a mic mod. However, the audio was still distorted. But the bigger issue I had with that camera was very poor run times. The battery that it came with was just a basic NP120 lithium-ion battery. Let's see if I have it around here somewhere. I can show it to you. Yep, I have it right here. So it came with this battery right there. And it appears to be a replacement because it says replace on it. It's rated for about 1700 milliamp hours. See if we can get a focus on this. I'm filming this with a different camera that I normally use, which is definitely not the greatest at macro focusing. Okay, I think we might have it there somewhat. So it's a 1700 milliamp hour battery, and with this battery I was lucky to even get an hour of runtime out of the camera. And pretty much zooming, you can forget about it after a long period of time. It would actually shut the camera off. And I was not exactly happy with that. So I decided I was going to eventually 18650 mod it. But figuring out how to 18650 mod it was a challenge. But I did eventually figure out a way to do it. You can see the batteries are on the bottom now. So these cells are 2200 milliamp hours a piece for a combined nominal capacity of 4400 milliamp hours at 3.7 volts nominal voltage. So it's a huge improvement over this right here. And it did make for some improved runtime with this camera. Although due to the design of this camera, it's very current hungry. And if the battery is somewhat depleted, if you go to zoom in and zoom out with it, sometimes it might still show dead battery. You just have to restart the camera and keep filming. Yeah, kind of annoying. But I figured just for the heck of it, I would do some trial runs with it on Q Computer Channel. I mean, I filmed like probably not even 5 videos back in February and March of last year with this camera. And I figured I'd give it another shot. So the first video that I posted as part of the trial run was my Windows 10 1809 video. And in that video, the microphone I was using was just like this, except I did not alter it in any way. It's one of them knockoff ECM DS70P mics, stereo mic. Now the thing with this camera though is it claims to be stereo, however it's not really stereo. When I was doing the mic mod last year, I was doing some experimentation with it, and with just one mic plugged in, you would hear sound on both channels, so you know it was not really stereo. The way I had this wired up was both channels on this jack were in parallel with each other. So what happened was with one of these mics in stock form, it was distorting the audio. When I was speaking loudly, it would actually cause the audio to get chopped and stuff like that. It would cause the waveforms to get chopped, which would give you the popping and cutting sound you would hear in that video. I took another one of these microphones. This is actually one that was out of the Cube Comp MTDX weather case number 1. This is one of the earlier mics I used in it. What I did is I went inside. Due to this mic's poor condition, I was like, okay, I'm going to just go ahead and snip out one of the mics. So in actuality, it's only using one of the channels, and that made for quite a bit of improvement in the audio. Although the audio isn't exactly as good as the Sanyo camera, which is that camera right there, the Sanyo Xacti CG102. So the later videos I shot with this were a bit better. However, I think I've come to the conclusion that I'm going to primarily use this camera here. And that's because this camera has a wide angle lens on it. It's somewhat wide angle. It's wider than standard. I can say it for sure. Because I don't have to be way far away from my desk like this to get the whole frame. And I mean, the camera I'm shooting with right now is a DXG A85V I got off of eBay for like $10 in perfect condition. And I'm standing like 3 or 4 feet away from the desk, and this is what it looks like right now. You see, this is one of the problems in particular that I have with cameras like this. I don't have a very wide viewing angle. It's a problem I also have with the Kodak ZI6. But this camera here is particularly bad for it. Yeah. I mean, I'm having to stand way back. And get this, when I do macro, it actually has to zoom in even further. So yeah, not a particularly good design there. So again, that's one of the reasons why I kind of prefer this camera here. Also, this camera is not as heavy, not as bulky, smaller size, easier to work with. And with this DXG A85V, you know, it's pretty freaking heavy, pretty bulky, pretty large size. And also, this camera has a bug with it. If you, in particularly longer videos, or anytime you start to really fill up the memory card, and you shut the camera off and then you start it back up and try to start recording again, it'll get about 3 seconds in and it'll say file error, and then the camera just, it locks up. I mean, you can still look through the screen and see movement, but you can't operate the zoom or nothing like that. You literally have to disconnect the power source from the camera and reset it. So yeah, that's something I don't really particularly want to work around. But this camera does offer a pretty nice lens. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to fix it up. Was it offers a pretty decent lens. The white balance, it seems to get better than the Xacti CG102, and also this camera here does extremely well in low light conditions, like outdoors at night. It picks up stuff better than any other camera that I have. Matter of fact, I actually used this camera to film some footage of the Super Wolf blood moon that occurred recently when we had the lunar eclipse. This thing actually was able to pick that up pretty well, which was pretty impressive. So yeah, this thing does have its pros, but it has its cons as well. Another thing I like about this Xacti CG102 is the macro. This thing has extremely well macro focusing. I mean, I could stick my finger right up here and it would be able to actually focus on that. To give you an idea of how well this thing can focus. It's really amazing. So, I think I'm going to pretty much stick with this camera here for my videos. There might be a select few that I'll use this one for. And also, I forgot to mention, I did mention about the good night performance this one has. This one here, I've noticed that the video is a bit more grainy. It's not quite as clear. This claims to be a 1080p video camera, but there are certain things, like in even this kind of lighting, that things look grainy with. Whereas with that DXG A85V, they didn't. Now the camera I'm filming with right now does not particularly do well at all in low light. Matter of fact, if I go to zoom with it, it gets even worse. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Now it doesn't appear to be grainy. It's just dark. And also, you can definitely hear the zoom on this one, due to a pretty loud zoom motor, and also the placement of the microphone on this camera is just not that great. But anyways, I figured I'd post a follow-up video So for those of you guys who absolutely hated the videos with this camera, I'm sorry, but I did want to do some trial runs with it. So you get to see more videos posted with this camera very soon. The Xacti CG102 definitely is a clear winner here. The only problem I have with this camera is the fact that it has a defect. If I go to change the batteries, I must plug in this little power supply here, otherwise this thing will lose all of its settings. The little timekeeping cell is defective. Matter of fact, I tried to replace it and then that was a failed attempt. What happened was one of the solder pads on the PCB had broken loose when I had gotten the old cell off, and that's unfortunate. But it didn't alter the way the thing behaved. I mean, it was behaving just the same before. I mean, it would be mighty nice if I could change batteries in this thing without having to plug it into a power source, but at least it does offer a power jack on the back where I can plug it in. And one thing about this camera is I don't particularly want to take it out in public because in a way, due to the 18650 mod, it might look a little suspicious. You just take a moment to read if this camera will focus on it. Take a moment to read that. Yeah. What do you think of that, guys? See, I don't take this particular camera out in public, so... Whereas this one, I could, I guess, but I don't really do it that much. I have a matter of fact, I have a specific camera that I use for doing building tours, elevator videos on CubeComp MDX and other out in public videos, and that's a Sony Handycam CX220. The reason why I don't use it on Computer Channel is because the battery isn't particularly all that great in it. And that's something I have to run. That's something I sometimes run into when doing long videos on CubeComp MDX. I have to carry a power bank with me because I have to sometimes recharge the thing, and also I prefer just to keep the hours off that camera, and only use it for on-the-go kind of videos. It's the only camera that I have that I think, yeah, it's the only the camera I'm filming with right now. This DXG Lux camera. Of course, it would be fine because I don't have any mods on it, but you know, this camera and that Sony Handycam CX220 are the only cameras that don't have 18650 mods or some other crazy modification done to them. So anyways, that's an update on those two cameras there. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Well guys, that's it for this one. But it doesn't have to be. There's plenty more videos on the channel to check out. Also, if you liked the video, please click the like button. And if you absolutely hated it, there is the alternative button as well. But yeah, please subscribe to the channel. I definitely appreciate it. And remember to click the bell so that we get notified of all updates. Also, if you're interested in things aside from computers and technology, check out my second channel. It's CubeComp MTDX. Over there you'll find videos about weather, elevators, bicycling, and pretty much whatever else I figure out to upload. So yeah, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you for your support.